I messed up tonight. I lost another fight. I still mess up, but I'll just start again. I keep falling down. I keep on hitting the ground. I always get enough. See what's next. Birds don't just fly. They fall down and get up. Nobody learns without getting it wrong. I won't give up, no, I won't give in till I reach the end and then I'll start again. No, I won't leave. I wanna try everything. I wanna try even though I could fail.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Zootopia Minute podcast, the minute-by-minute podcast where we review, scrutinize, and analyze the award-winning film Zootopia. Woo!
Woohoo.
I'm your host, Choco, and I'm joined by my co-host.
Simul, once again, we are back.
Yes,
How's everybody
yes.
doing?
And we are at minute 45, so we're at minute Donald Trump, because he is our 45th president.
Oh my gosh. Let's please not have that be the episode theme today.
I know, I forgot
don't
to
if I
bring
can
it up.
handle that.
Because of the last episode was 44. I was like, that's Obama's number.
Oh.
So,
Oh, we didn't dedicate that episode to Obama. We should have.
well, we dedicated to the Gorilla channel, so I guess Trump gets 2 episodes.
Yeah,
Oh, well.
2 Trump
Well-
episodes in a row. Gee, see, we
Yeah.
can-
Well, we have a really, really fun minute, and it starts at 45:00, where Nick says it does 100%, which was my response when some Brony analyst or Brony staffer tells me, hey, I do important stuff. It's like, no, you just analyze videos. That's nothing. That's not important. But anyways, Nick would say,
dime a
it
dozen
does 100%.
YouTube analysts.
yes, that's my response when a Brony comes up to me and says they're important. And it ends when Nick says, oh my god, the velvety pipes of Jerry Vole, and it frames on Judy staring back at him, then sighing, and that's where a minute ends. So it's a really fun minute. It's basically starts at the continuation where Nick is responding to Judy, how he's kind of apathetic to his to this what he sees as a pretend sham investigation, and Judy seems to give up. It's like, all right, well, you're free to go. She gives him the pen, tosses it over. They both go over to the other side, and we'll get to this point because it's a fun little scene. And they end up inside the parking area where they're investigating the car. So it's a fun little 1-minute clip we have.
Yes, indeed. From 45:00 to 45:59 for those following along.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is definitely a fun one. That very first line we get to hear from Nick is just a direct answer to that question we left off on with Judy last time, where she says, what is your problem? Does seeing me fail somehow make you feel better about your own sad, miserable life? And so Nick, of course, responds, it does, 100%. Which is typical Nick fashion for that kind of question.
In
Classic
typical
Nick.
me fashion, when I see these bronies, YouTubers getting shut down. Whatever. I don't know anything about them. All I know is about what they have on Encyclopedia Dramatica. But anyways,
Oh, jeez.
well, after that, after Nick's response, we kind of get a back and forth between Nick and Judy. Judy seems to have just kind of given up, basically asking Nick, what the hell is your problem?
Yeah.
Nick is just apathetic. But the one thing that stood out to me in these scenes were the breath was animated really well. You could tell it's
Ooh.
frigid, you could tell it's cold, and you could tell, okay, that's
That's
realistic.
a good note.
Yeah.
Good eye. Yeah, that's actually really interesting. And it makes you wonder how much thought they have to put into that kind of thing, because this is a set, this is a movie that takes place in a wide variety of different climates and different types of areas. So it's cool that they actually put the effort into go the extra mile and animate that kind of thing to show, yes, it really is cold in here, because they're in Tundra Town again. But yeah. Nick obviously is kind of ready to get going. He's been dragged along by Judy basically all day to try and work out this missing otter case, because Judy's career is on the job, but they've gotten here, they're outside of this locked gate for this limo company, and Nick is just saying, well, you know, your sans warrant, so I suppose we're done here, because Judy does not have a warrant to get in, which would be required to actually go and investigate what's happening inside of that fenced-in area. Judy responds kind of, you know, just not happy about it, but she realizes, yeah, you know what, I guess we're probably done. Fine, we're done. Here's your pen. And the pen, of course, we remember is that carrot pen that doubles as a recorder, holding the evidence of Nick's criminal tax evasion.
Which you could buy for $19.95 on the Walt Disney Store.
Yeah, in the Disney Store, right? That's so ridiculous.
Well, Nick does make an interesting comment when Judy just tosses the pen behind
Judy
her
just
and over
throws
the fence.
it over the fence, and it lands in
Nick
the snow on the
says,
other side.
You throw like a bunny, and that kind of goes more in line with the, depending on how some people view this movie, goes in line where the bunnies are equivalent to females in this world.
I don't
It's
know
like
if
you throw
that's
like
the parallel that I would make. I mean,
Because-
in that specific, obviously it's paralleling the phrase "you throw like a girl."
Yeah, you throw
But
a
I
girl.
don't think universally in this movie bunnies.
Oh no, not
are seen as
universally,
female.
but in this specific
For
scene, and
this
I know in another scene, he says you drive like a bunny.
Interesting.
So they do have these lines where it's like blank blank like a girl replaced with bunny. So interesting scene. The one line I wish they would have added was when Nick climbed over and got to the other side, and Judy pops up. I wish she said, "I'm an undercover cop," because she went under. Get it?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, she went
I get
under the
it.
fence. I know.
But yes. So that's pretty interesting here. So we shouldn't gloss this over, I guess. Judy was going to hand that pen recorder back to Nick, which would then sort of free him from his responsibility to follow her around town and help out with the investigation. But she throws it over the fence. Nick is like, all right. First off, you throw like a bunny. Second, you're a very sore loser. And starts sort of saying goodbye as he's closing the fence, making some sarcastic remarks about how he wished he could have been more helpful. And when he jumps down, Judy's already there on the other side holding the pen. And we discover, she has a reason for throwing this pen. She says, well, the thing is, you don't need a warrant if you have probable cause. And I'm pretty sure I saw a shifty lowlife climbing the fence. Now, that to me is a little iffy.
Well, that's a little offensive towards foxes, I'm going to say.
I don't know. Maybe maybe there are some upstanding Fox citizens, but Nick isn't one of them. I think
But does
she's
that mean
only commenting
all
on his
foxes-
specific character.
Well, are all foxes shifty lowlives? We don't know.
Hashtag
That's,
not all foxes.
Yeah, not all foxes. Oh my god.
Hashtag not furries.
No, we're not going to get
Hashtag
into this.
Zootopia Minute. Buy our t-shirts that we don't
We're
sell.
doing this. Anyways, it's actually a really smart move on her part. Well, in the context of this world, if it works this way, to do this. One thing I should note is she seems to be a really fast digger. And the time
Well,
it
she's
took
a
Nick
rabbit.
to climb over. Yeah, but I mean, it's cold. We don't know if it's like actual. First of all, it could be permafrost. It could be tar, It might not even be dirt. You never really see these fences on just, like, normal dirt. You see them on,
I think
like,
it was just
blacktops.
snow. Well, that's something a lot of people don't know is permafrost. It's a type of soil. It's not just ice.
Yeah,
It's actually
but
frozen topsoil specifically.
this
that gets
world, if it's
really
a
hard.
constantly tundra-ish world, it would be all permafrost. Because if it would snow, then let's say it melted, that means the fence would just topple over. It wouldn't, unless it had these really, really long poles and this empty gap in between it.
Right. I mean, it is Tundra Town, and tundras specifically are like probably where permafrost is sighted most is occurring. So you're
Yeah.
probably right there.
And also, she's probably used to digging in loose, soft, warm soil. I'm sure getting your paws in really, really cold, icy soil would not be really good, and it'll be probably harder to dig through. And her clothing is completely immaculate, But I'm being a little
It's
too picky on
water.
the cartoon show, yeah.
It's hydrophobic material,
Yeah.
that outfit. Probably
Yeah.
not.
But I did wish she said she was an undercover cop, because that was a great missed opportunity.
Yeah, kind of dropped the ball on that one, I guess.
Yeah. I do want to say Nick has some, aside from the frosty breath they have, one thing I really like about the animation in these scenes are Nick's expressions. He had some of the most adorable expressions in this scene. Like,
Do you
they
just want to pet his
change.
little head again?
Yeah, because he's like, he has, in some scenes, like at the beginning, he has the smug look, he has this excited look when he's kind of let go, and when he sees Judy throws the pen over, he kind of has a whatever expression, and then when she goes over to the other side and grabs the pen again, he has a this again expression. They're just great expressions.
Yeah. I think Nick's most classic expression is that kind of smug, eyebrows raised smirk. That's like the most recognizable, but for sure. I mean, especially when you have a character with ears like that, there's a lot you can do to make their faces really expressive just by posing the ears different ways. And, the animators had a lot of fun with that.
Oh, yeah.
But to me, so this moment when they're hopping the fence, or Nick hops the fence, and Judy's saying, oh, you know what? I saw this crazy lowlife climbing the fence. That gives me probable cause, and we can go in now. That's so sketchy, don't you think? Like,
Yeah.
that would not hold up. If anyone saw them, or if Nick, Nick could even testify against Judy. Like, if something went wrong while they were in there, he could be like, no, she just drugged me along. She used me to get in to try and establish fake probable cause. I mean, she basically provoked Nick to going over the fence. I don't know. Would she? Can we compare this to, like, the real world legal situation surrounding this kind of thing and see what would actually happen in the real world?
Well, okay, I don't want to get into this because it could easily go into discussions of politics and stuff, but... I do know in certain cases, there's obviously some bias. Like, for example, when my dad was actually working as a cop for a big city and working for the government, when he would drive through like small, tiny, unincorporated towns that had their own sheriff and police officers, they would, first of all, act really, really differently towards big city cops and government folks. And because they had their own like little laws, they could abuse their power in such a way. And I hate to say
their own little laws, like it's some cute thing. Like, oh, that's so cute.
Well, I mean, they could lock you up for certain things, and lately, because Simul convinced me to watch Black Mirror, I finally got Netflix again.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Isn't it great?
It is great, but we'll talk about that later. But I also started watching some of the Netflix crime documentary shows, including the ones where they kind of coerce like confessions out of people.
Confession tapes?
Yes.
Yeah, I watched that one too.
And I hate to say this because I know it's not always the case. In some certain areas, I guess the inner city folks and folks from lower social classes are kind of seen in a more negative light. Mm-hmm. And that changes the bias of how cops would react. And I know in some cases, cops have been able to burst into people's homes without a search warrant just because they seem shady or they think drug dealing is going on and whatnot. And in some cases, especially in California, cops seem to barge into homes because they think people are owning guns. So on the other side of the spectrum. So... cops have done this in certain cases, not saying all cops do, obviously, but they could seem to get away with these things a little bit more.
I think probable cause is somewhat iffy in a lot of places.
Oh, I'm trying to think about which episode Black Mirror reminded. Never mind, I forgot. There's a Black Mirror episode that reminded me of it, but okay. So yeah, it's kind of a interesting situation. It's smart. If I was a cop, what Judy did was ingenious.
It's clever, but it wouldn't hold in. It's really fragile. Like if anyone gave that any bit of scrutiny, it wouldn't hold up. But it kind of works in a pinch.
But in the moment, because Nick needs that pen, he can't do anything but get along. Like, sure, he could argue later, but she has the pen, so it's kind of like blackmailing.
Judy is blackmailing. I was just gonna say. I mean, at this point, Judy's like just as much a criminal as Nick is. I would think.
Let's say that this friendship doesn't work out between them. I don't think there's a friendship at the moment going on between them. But, after this whole entire level of Disney adventure finishes up, Nick could probably bring charges against Judy for blackmail. We don't know.
It's true. We'll have to see. Well, right after this happens, they're inside now, so they might as well continue looking around. Judy gives sort of a sarcastic, "Oh, you're helping plenty. Come on," as they walk and try to investigate what's going on inside of this parking lot here. So Judy's now sort of using the light on her phone to try and identify the car, and they come across a car with a license plate that she rubs the snow off, and we see it's 29THD03. It's that same license number they got from the DMV, or they got from Yax, rather. They found it. They found the limo. And so now they just got to look inside. And they do get inside, but I'm not entirely sure how. Did you catch how they actually managed to unlock the door?
No, I'm guessing it was unlocked. It wasn't.
Why would you just leave it unlocked, though? You're not counting on rabbits and foxes sneaking over your fence.
Yeah, I mean, if it's already locked up, and based on how Nick reacts, well... I guess we don't know the scene yet because we haven't got to that minute yet.
Dad, it's such a real nice neighborhood. No one locks their doors. You should.
I mean, it wouldn't be a far-fetched to theorize that maybe this place is, protected by a certain group of, I guess, this world's version of Italians. But we can't speculate that far in this movie yet. But, it seems like that whoever owns this parking lot and owns these rental cars is very comfortable with people breaking in.
Yeah.
I would say that the thing that more surprised me was Judy using her phone like a flashlight. And I have seen some of my friends do this, use their phone as a flashlight, but I have never done that before. I did not know that was an option.
Wait a sec.
On my phone.
Do you mean, hold on, was she using like the flash as the light, or was she using the screen?
She was using the flash as the light, not the screen. I used the screen as a light, but she's using the flash.
Dude, yeah, so many phones now just have that built in. It's a little button in like the taskbar at the top. You just hit a thing and it turns on the flashlight.
I did not know that. Like, I know people have done that, but I thought you need like a certain app to do this.
You used to. And then the phone manufacturers got wise that like, oh, people are making apps that just keep the flash on permanently. Why don't we just make that built in?
I'm guessing my phone doesn't have that option because I looked for it the other night and I couldn't find it. But
what kind
also,
of phone do you have?
It's like the cheap Galaxy. It's the Galaxy Prime, so the cheapest Galaxy.
I don't know.
But okay, I've never done it, but my worries in that case is what would happen if the light bulb on your phone burns out? Because I could assume that it consumes a lot of battery life and energy. But an LED light does have a certain amount of hours, and once it's burnt out, like you either basically have to get a new phone because it's like not worth it to replace it.
LEDs do burn out, but it takes literally years. Like I think you'd have to worry about replacing your entire phone before the LED and the flash bulb ever burnt out.
But the flash bulb was designed for one quick flash.
Oh, rather than just staying illuminated. That's a good point, I suppose.
Yeah.
But maybe because it's an LED, that's less of an issue. Because LEDs create light without much heat. And heat is one of the things that'll degrade the integrity of a filament in an incandescent bulb, for instance. So I'm not sure.
That stood out to me because in a movie probably that came out 5 years ago, you'll see a cop have a big flashlight on the side of their hip.
Do you remember those old school flashlights before they even had the LED ones? And it would be an incandescent bulb with a conical mirror, and so it would shine this sort of donut of light because there'd be a hole in the middle where it wasn't getting reflected as intensely.
But you also see in those cop dramas and cop movies that the cops would have these giant metal flashlights which could double as clubs.
Yeah, they double as weapons, exactly.
Yeah. So this movie, you could say that it's placed in a specific time period. So if you go back and watch this movie in like 10 or 20 years, like if our kids, I'm not saying that we're going to have kids, but if our kids in the future, if they come back and watch this movie, like you could say that it's like a period piece, that specific scene. It places the movie.
Yeah, it sort of places it in time.
Yeah, using a cell phone as a flashlight, that's specific to like what this current era we're living in now. So
yeah,
I just thought that was interesting. It kind of stood out to me because
it's very 2010s.
It reminded me more of this is on one level it's a movie about talking animals, so great. On another level, it's a cop film that actually takes place in a certain time period.
Yeah. So before we move on here, that license plate that Judy finds and uncovers the snow from it, were you able to make out what the shape or like what sort of picture was on it? Because it was mostly covered by frost.
It was. I tried to freeze frame on it and get a good look, and it was just kind of blurry. But from a distance, it kind of looked like an old school Californian or Florida license plate because it kind of looked like the sun.
But to me, okay, so there's an orange shape. The background is white and it just has an orange shape on it. And I thought maybe that was supposed to be the outline of the skyline of Zootopia because it sort of gets thinner at the top. It's tapered a bit and has sort of these uneven edges. So I thought maybe it's the silhouette of the city itself or something. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe we'll have to look for another instance in this movie of a license plate being fully visible. Yeah. Because I am curious about that.
I do like license plates. When I was younger, I used to try to collect license plates from different states. So
yeah, they're cool.
Interesting. Okay, well, we get to more investigation in the car.
Yeah, they open the car and immediately what I notice is that it's filled with fog in the bottom. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I guess it could be like, I wouldn't say dry ice.
Some cool air sitting towards the bottom. They did say they're refrigerated, but I mean, would it be refrigerated while it's just parked and off? It doesn't even need to be. I mean, they're in Tundra Town already.
Well, it also depends on what temperature it is and what atmosphere, because at certain temperatures at different levels of atmosphere, certain gases will seem to become more condensed and heavier and form what you see on the like fog on the ground.
Yeah, they form along thermoclines where there's a gradient in the air temperature.
Yeah, and especially, let's say that the temperature in the car is vastly different from the temperature outside, even though it was a refrigerated car. Let's say it was slightly warmer. You would get that effect if you open a slightly warmer car, and also vice versa. If the car was actually much colder than the outside environment, then yeah, it would probably do that. Because if anyone has gone to the car in the middle of summer and noticed that it's much hotter inside, it's kind of like an oven. It's because cars are really well sealed, and the temperature, pressure, and atmosphere inside the car will be vastly different from outside.
That's why it's nice in the summer when you have a white car like me. It doesn't get too hot on the inside.
Oh, you don't like black cars or something? You're just like Judy. All right. Well, we get to Nick acting surprised, and Judy seems...
He must have found some evidence.
Yeah. Judy seems concerned for Nick, and he just reveals, hey, it's the velvety pipes of Jerry Vole. Which...
Yeah, just like, oh my gosh. Judy's like, what is it? The velvety pipes of Jerry Vole. And Judy has a sort of annoyed look on her face after that. And that's where the minute ends. Yeah. Good line to end on, I think.
It is a good line, and I guess Jerry Vole is a play on Frank Sinatra, looking at the, again, the concept art. We haven't gone back to the concept art.
Well, I don't think so. I think it's Jerry Vale.
Oh,
Jerry
really?
Vale was a real Italian-American singer.
Yes, sorry.
A sort of a Frank Sinatra type, I guess. But that would be the more specific pun there. Because everything has to be a pun, remember. When in doubt, it's probably a pun.
Yes. And actually looking at the Zootopia concept book, you are correct. It is parody of Jerry Vale. And apparently, based on the Zootopia handbook, he was supposed to have been known for a song called Zootopia, which presumably is a parody of New York, New York. So, there we go.
Wait a second. Do you think it's... We've discussed sort of the structure of Zootopia's government and stuff and how it works in the larger world before, but do you think it's like New York City where the whole country is Zootopia, but then the biggest city is also Zootopia? So it's like the city of Zootopia in the state or country of Zootopia, like New York, New York.
Or Mexico City, Mexico. Yeah, that's not surprising.
Yeah. Or Kansas City, Missouri.
Sure, why not?
It could be. I mean, yeah. There's that hotel in Las Vegas. So it's New York, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Which is actually not even in Las Vegas, it's in Paradise.
Whatever. It's that metro area.
All the Las Vegas Strip is not even in Las Vegas, it's in Paradise.
Sure. Well, the very north end, like the Stratosphere Hotel is within Las Vegas proper, and that's still considered on the Strip. But yeah, you're right. Most of it is in the census-designated place of Paradise.
Because they were run by the mob, which, might be suspicious. Maybe this little parking center is run by the mob too, but I don't know who the mob would be in this world. But obviously there's an Italian vole, and actually voles are interesting creatures because they're considered the most sexually active of mammals out there.
Man, I just can't wait for all that Jerry Vole fan fiction.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Actually, let's just Google that right now.
Oh boy.
Jerry Vole fan fiction.
See, that's interesting, is to figure out how much of the fan fiction surrounding Zootopia has nothing to do with the main characters and is just using the world that's been established. Because there's a lot of fan fiction that sort of fits that category for all sorts of different media, like Star Trek fan fiction where it's just the Star Trek universe, but none of the characters are the same. They're just borrowing the storyline.
I think I like those a bit. I don't read fan fiction, but if I did have an idea, I would probably like those a bit more. Googling Zootopia fan fiction and Jerry Vole, nothing involving him specifically pops up, but he does appear to exist as a musician in all these fanfics, but not as a main character. So
nothing's gonna focus on the life and times of Jerry Vole.
I'm sure there will
Not
eventually
yet.
be.
Someone out there will do it. Just wait till the episode comes out.
Yeah, I mean, like in Matt from Death Note and Boba Fett from Star Wars. Like sometimes, like the random background character.
Or Wilro Hood from Star Wars. He's my favorite.
I have no idea who he is.
You don't know who Wilro Hood is? Oh my gosh! If the Star Wars Minute people were here, they'd be so ashamed. No, Wilro Hood was in. Let me think. In The Empire Strikes Back, because that's the one with Cloud City. Yeah, it's when Cloud City is like being attacked or whatever, and like
you mean
the cameras
Lobot?
No, okay. Wilro Hood was this dude that you see for a split second in the background, just running and carrying what looks like an ice cream maker, like an ice cream machine.
It does sound like a fan fiction character name.
And for whatever reason, in I think the expanded universe or something. I mean, I do not know very much about Star Wars compared to like the hardcore fans, but for some reason, that random background character was given like a huge backstory and a name and like a reason for being there. And actually, there's action action figures of him that you can find too. Wilbur Hood action figures for this totally insignificant random background character that was there for a second in one scene in The Empire Strikes Back. It's great.
Well, I'm just gonna say it's a very unpopular opinion, but Empire Strikes Back sucks. I mean, why does Luke and Leia all of a sudden have force-talking power with each other? I mean, they didn't even explain who this Emperor person is. Like, where was he in the first movie? We didn't see him. Like, none of this makes sense. I mean, all of a sudden you can have a city that floats in the cloud. That wasn't established in the previous movie. I mean, it just ruins everything that, A New Hope created, you know?
Hey, I prefer Palpatine as a villain to Supreme Leader Snoke any day.
I'd like to... Okay, Palpatine... Well, first of all, Ian McDermott is a fantastic actor, and even people who hate the prequels will say that his portrayal of Palpatine is like the best thing ever.
Yeah, well, he was Palpatine in the original trilogy too.
Yeah, which is
People
fantastic.
forget.
They got him back for both.
Yeah.
I like Snoke. I got a Funko Pop Snoke figure. I like Snoke, even though he's kind of... I like him. I don't know what... I could like stuff, okay? I like Bane, okay? From Dark Knight Rises.
I mean, I don't want to spoil, because, I mean, the newest Star Wars movie came out recently still, so I don't want to spoil anything. But
Yeah, we don't spoil it.
I just wish there would be more development of what Snoke's deal is, you know? Like, he's
I'm
just
actually fine with
generically
it.
evil.
I'm actually fine because, first of all, I guess Star Wars is now a Disney property, so it kind of fits in. We are based off
Welcome
the
to Star Wars Minute. I mean, what?
Yeah, thanks, Alex and Pete. We're taking your show now. But I'm actually kind of fine with it because one issue is for the previous two trilogies, it was kind of helmed by one man, even though in the original trilogy it had different directors. It was all George Lucas's overarching story. For this new sequel series, it's kind of like a game of relay telephone where they even admitted there's no overarching story for this new Disney sequel trilogy. It's basically, J.J. Abrams basically created his own movie, and then Rian Johnson had to build off whatever J.J. did, and then before he was fired, Trevorrow had to build off what Rian Johnson did. So there was like never an overarching story. So it's basically a game of telephone. It's like, oh, fill in the blank. Okay, you know when you draw like, you start like a fanfic or you start a picture and you hand it off to someone else. And it seemed like what Rian Johnson did was, because J.J. Abrams' movie had a lot of complaints from hardcore Star Wars fans. I think famously a lot of reviews about it. Like Rey all of a sudden knowing how to beat someone, never though she never used a lightsaber. Who are the Knights of Ren? Like all these like things he laid out there that people kind of criticize. Rian Johnson just said, okay, well, I'm just going to answer them right away or get rid of them. And I kind of like that because he had his own story he wanted to tell. It's like, this stuff is not important for my story. Let me just get rid of it. And I'm sure we're going to get an expanded universe where Snoke or something pops up. And he even addressed that. He said, yeah, I could easily have composed like a 1 or 2 minute scene where Snoke reveals who was Darth Plagueis or something like that. But Rey would have basically said, who? And it would have taken away from the flow of the movie. And actually, Rey's confrontation with Snoke is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, which is why I like Snoke so much, because I identify with that scene. Like
that was a good scene.
That was pure magical. And if they did kind of shoehorn, oh, this is who Snoke is, like, oh, okay.
Well, that was a great tangent for the end of the episode. Excellent. Going back to the podcast roots a little bit, there's a nice little homage. We are contracted to name drop them, at least on occasion, I believe. So there you go, guys. Go check out Star Wars Minute if you like hearing more about Star Wars. Yeah. But I think that'll do it for this episode of Zootopia Minute. We've made it right to the end. Thank you for listening along to Minute 45.
Yeah, thank you very much. And actually, I think we joked about the t-shirts thing, but if you guys actually do want to have t-shirts made,
yes,
would be happy to drop some t-shirts and open in a low Etsy
Dude,
store.
I want a Zootopia Minute t-shirt.
All right.
Even if no one else buys them, just design it so that I can have one.
All right.
That's what I want.
If you guys do have ideas for t-shirts, send them in our way. If you can find a Jerry Vo fan fiction, please send that to us because we would love to read parts of that
yes,
on
please.
the podcast.
I definitely want to see that for sure. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Zootopia Minute. If you did enjoy our podcast, please subscribe to us on YouTube. We're almost to 140 at the time of recording this, so helping us get up there.
We need that YouTube money. We need the ad revenue.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Zootopia Minute. Like us on Facebook. You can send anything you would like for us to see to our email, zootopiaminute@gmail.com. Other than that, guys, thanks again just so much for watching. We hope to see you next time.
Bye-bye.